All right, should we jump right in then, so as to not to waste too much time?
Yeah, and I enabled screen share. Steph, if you want to bring the deck up, I can't do it from my home desktop.
Will do. All righty. Okay. All righty. Are we seeing a PowerPoint presentation?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. Let's see. I will start her up. Okay. Oh, I can already tell this is the version that I had to fix because this slide is a little off here. Let's see, but I think the rest should be okay. All right. So this is our draft presentation for the workshop that we put together with all the feedback you all gave us from last time. And so this would be for the workshop on November 10th. And love to hear your thoughts. We tried to condense it down so that it runs pretty quickly and to leave time for questions and answers during the presentation. But if you have any thoughts about things we should add, change, delete, please let us know. So there's the first slide, and I apologize, my changes didn't go through there, but basically there's the logos for the Historic Society, the Trails, and Park Service. And so the first slide will go over the agenda for the workshop. And so we did include a link here to Charlie's video that kind of has an overview of the site and the history, but we figure technology can be unpredictable. It might be hard to show that video in a workshop. And ideally, we'd love to have someone present and talk about the train wreck history live and a little bit about the Airline State Park Trail. So we are definitely looking for volunteers that could present and share just a quick 2 minutes. Joe, I know you had offered to present perhaps, and you have like a 2-minute presentation that we can maybe take you up on.
Yeah, I did offer. The real master is Tom Chase, and if he raises his hand, I will gladly pull mine down. But Tom may not be available.
Joe, I think you're probably better because you know more about the airline trail. I don't know.
I got it. I'll be glad to do.
Yeah, and that with everything that's happening in my life, I'm not. I'd just as soon have you do it. I think.
Okay, I got it. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both, and we'll definitely give you a shout out, Tom, because we know you've put a lot of work and effort into this, and we will definitely recognize that. So thank you. I will change this up then, and I will include a presentation from Joe, which I think will be really nice and engaging to have. So the whole setup for this presentation, we'll do the background information about the train wreck and the State Park Trail, and then we'll jump into design and just get their general feelings for some of the ideas that we talked about, and then we'll wrap it up. So this is our housekeeping slide where we ask folks to use the chat box as much as possible. That way it feels more like a conversation rather than us talking at people. But we do ask they stay muted unless they're speaking, kind of basic stuff here. And I should mention too, if you have anything that you'd like to bring up, please feel free to interrupt me or throw a message in the chat box as we go through here. So this was our original slide for speakers. So I will add Joe on here as well. So Joe, if you wouldn't mind sending me your photo and your title of choice, I will add it to this slide here.
You got it.
Hey, Steph, for whatever it's worth, although Penn Gesick is my legal last name, I don't actually use my husband's last name on anything except documents, so you can take Gesick off if you want.
Sure, whatever your preference is. And no problem. And so the first question we'll ask the audience is, what is your age and do you live in Thompson? So a couple easy questions to get them familiar with the poll feature and get them kind of interacting. And that will let us know kind of who's in the audience. If it's a lot of local folks, if it's folks from out of town, or if we're talking to a mixed ages audience, or older or younger. So that will just give us a quick kind of pulse about who's on the line. And then we'll do a quick project background. So we have a little bit of information that we'd share from the Thompson Trail Committee. Oh, and also if there's someone from the Trails Committee who would like to speak to this, certainly we'd love to have you talk about this and just kind of the background work you've been doing over time and the data that you have. So I don't know if Karen's on the line.
She is not on, I don't think. I didn't see her come in. Let me double check. Yeah, she is not on. I can't remember if she said she was coming in on this call or not. Let me exit full screen so I can go back and check my email and see if I've got a message from her. I'll be right back.
Thanks, no problem.
Yeah, this is Paul. I think Karen or Charlie would probably be the best choice for that from the trails.
Great.
I think for some reason, I think Karen, I think I remember seeing on the doodle poll that Karen could not come. So I think that would explain her absence.
Aha.
For today. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So we'll follow up with them about just giving a kind of a synopsis there for Trails.
Lyanne, do you think if someone from Trails does not step forward who wants to be a presenter, that you or someone from TLGV could take a little piece on the trails there? I mean, it wouldn't be as specific to Thompson, but it would still be regional.
I could talk about what we've done thus far. I know Charlie was questioning, and Brian saw something on Saturday of our new signs. So yeah, I could do a little bit if I had to.
Okay, just as an option there.
Thank you for being willing to do that. And we're kind of keeping the background information just to this one slide, just so we can focus our time more on the design concepts. But it would be great if someone from Trails is willing, or Lyanne, to talk about just like the work that's been done. I think maybe some highlights are including things like the huge increase of use over the pandemic and the huge surge we're seeing in folks using trails. And then also any kind of highlights from the survey. I know we had a huge surge of people taking the survey because of the QR codes. So those types of things are really great to include. And then things like the interpretive walks, that especially the ones that are happening soon for Walktober, or have happened, I believe. Great to include that information as well. And then the Joe would speak to the history of the train wreck site and kind of the work that you all have been doing. So putting together this great museum that we see in the background here. And then kind of just highlighting the events of the train wreck and why it's so significant for the town. And then also I can include any slides that you would like, kind of images for that, if you think those are important to include. And then Elizabeth and myself can talk about the Park Service program and why we are here. And then someone could just mention, probably Tira, about the UConn School of Engineering. And we'll get more into that at the end of the presentation when we talk about what the designs will be used for, but just mentioning that we are engaging also with UConn. And I can follow up about the logistics for this slide. but just thought I'd give you this heads up of what we're thinking here. And then I just included this as a reminder to talk about the State Park Trail and how it connects the 12 towns and the 12 Town Task Force. And then we go basically right into the design concepts. So I can talk a little bit about these concepts that we came up with and mention that this is the current entrance to the Airline State Park Trail, and that there's a kiosk there and parking, but it's not really delineated, and that it's not the safest of situations because of the curve and just the way that cars are moving quickly throughout this road, and that it's kind of dicey to cross the street to the tri-state marker. But this hopefully will give them a little bit of a flavor of what's there now, if they're not familiar. And so this slide with the goals is kind of a culmination of the conversations that we've all been having about what we're looking for. So interpreting the history of Thompson and the train wreck site, promoting kind of the trail town concept, which just means encouraging recreation and connecting to things in town, other amenities, utilizing options on public land, even though we might think about private options as we go further down the road. For this workshop, we'll be focusing on the public options. Thinking about what can be
Beth,
done.
let me just interrupt you to let you know that Karen did just come in if you want to go back and confirm with her.
Oh, hi, Karen. Let's see. We'll go back here.
Oops, hi.
Hi.
Hi, we just got home, sorry.
No worries. We were just curious if you might be willing to share about the trail committee work that has been happening recently, and particularly around the trail census data, maybe touching on the increase of use during COVID-19 and the trail survey and the walks, the guided tours that are happening there now, and anything else you'd like to include.
You mean at the workshop?
Yes.
I was afraid you were gonna ask that. I was gonna say, if somebody gives me a script, but I don't.
Lyanne also volunteered if you feel uncomfortable.
I would prefer somebody else did it if that's.
Totally up to you. Don't mean to pressure you here, but if you're interested, you're more than welcome to share, or we can have Tira or Lyanne cover that for you as well.
I prefer that. I prefer that.
Okay.
If somebody could get me the trail survey stuff, I don't know much about that. The census data I can pull up myself.
I can follow up with you, Lyanne.
Thank you.
I'll just make a note. All righty. Great.
I mean, what I can do is we just wrote something for the Plan of Conservation and Development, and I can send that text to Lyanne if she wants to just pull out from the about the Trails Committee locally. But
Sure.
talking about the whole project, I prefer. She's got a better view of what's going on in the whole region.
Nah, I'm not sure of that, but
Well, thank you. And this would just be a pretty light touch because, like we're saying, we only have folks for an hour, and we want to really get into the questions with them and get their feedback. So it would be very much a quick overview. So thank you, and I will follow up to make sure you have everything you need to help with that. Okay, I think we're back here at the goals. So yeah, these were the goals that we came up with for the design. And if there's anything you think is missing here, I'm happy to add it in. But they're pretty straightforward. And so here's the design concept drawing here. So I'll kind of walk folks through it. There's the idea of adding native plants, which grow kind of short so that cars can see over them, which hopefully slows them down a little bit and makes it easier for people navigating in and out of the parking lot to see. And then also adding kind of the safe crossing that would take you from the Airline State Park Trail entrance to the train wreck site to the Tri-State marker. Try to do kind of solar powered flashing lights if possible, just to draw more attention to the crosswalker. That's just one item there. And then also kind of the idea of the gateway and the pavilion. And I have the example from Pomfret there. And then some examples of gateways locally. I can try and find a better photo of the one from East Hampton, which is the bottom right there. And then the Still River Trail on the left, but just kind of as a precedent for trail gateway signage. And we probably won't get into the very specifics of what like the gateway looks like, but we can at least present the idea of just kind of feeling like they have arrived. And if they have ideas for the gateway, like making it look more industrial or railroad-like, we're happy to take those ideas too. But this is just kind of warming them up to the idea. So kind of presenting those options there. These are the ones we chatted about. And then we'll go kind of into the pavilion idea. So this is a question, a poll question that we'd ask. So what is the most important amenities to have at the pavilion? So this will just get kind of a temperature reading of what folks think is the most important thing that they'd like to see at this pavilion. So whether it's things for bicycling, so do they want things to take care of their bike, something to lock it up? Are they focused more on kind of the historic aspect? Would they like to see a more historical replica of the train depot that is as similar as possible to the one that was there? Are they looking for a more like relaxing experience, maybe with picnic tables and benches, just a place to sit down and take a load off, have their lunch? Are they focused more on kind of basic necessities like trash, recycling, doggy bags, and porta potties? Are they really looking for information about how to navigate the trail and for the town? Or maybe there's something that I missed that they could share in the chat and we can talk about. And so those are some of the things that came up. And I'm wondering, is there anything else I should ask? That seemed to cover it.
Oh, wait, I mean, at the pavilion, where is the interpretation of the train wreck?
Oh, so that I actually separated and we would ask next.
Okay.
So yeah, maybe I'll move to that section if this seems okay. So yeah, I broke up the interpretation into kind of its own section here. So this is what is existing now, this kiosk here. And you'd see some information about the train wreck and park rules, which is helpful to have. And then on this slide, I kind of just touch on the artifacts that are there now. So you can see those mentioned here on the site plan, the historic bunkhouse, engine house, turntable. And so here's an actual image of the historic and juxtaposed with what's there today. So folks can know that some pieces of history are there on the trail today, available for interpretation. And then here are the options I present to them. So this is your classic interpretive signs. Some benefits are you don't need a brochure, you don't need to have a smartphone to access the information. It's all right there on the sign. You can design it however you want. Kind of your classic park interpretive signs, probably most folks are familiar with. And we have an example that's already being used, which is the image on the right there. Paul's interpretive signs that he's created. So making perhaps those ones more permanent. So that would be option 1. And then option 2 is a sign that maybe connects to a smartphone mobile website. So you can have the pros of this, you have more information that folks can access. You can do things like oral histories, audio tour. You can have a lot more images. The signage itself is a little less expensive. It's more like a scavenger hunt type feeling, and it can correspond with a map, a printed map that folks can get, or maybe a smartphone tour. So does leave a little bit of wiggle room in terms of how you present this, but it's kind of another option for interpretive signs. Then there was the idea inspired by the Manhan Rail Trail of kind of the striking images that create windows to the past. So this is just kind of a visual way of interpreting the sites, kind of have these striking images that just bring you back to the past, and you can envision it either right on top of where it used to be, like on top of the trail, so you can kind of see them both at the same time, or next to each other. But that is another option, just to have maybe a little less information and more of the image. And then there is, you can kind of see in that top left photo, teeny tiny little QR sticker if people want more information from their phone. And one thing I'm not entirely sure about, and maybe you folks know, is how service is at the train wreck site. So that could be another consideration as we put these ideas together. If cell phone service is pretty good, then I think the QR codes can work well, or maybe folks can take a picture of it and access it from home later. And we can talk more about that at some point after we see how people react to this, but something I've been also wondering about.
So Steph, this is
Okay.
Paul. As far as the phone service, I have Verizon on my phone and it seems to work okay throughout the trail.
Okay,
And-
that's good to know.
This is Charlie. I have T-Mobile and I have lousy service in a lot of places, but the QR code reader works out there.
Oh,
So-
great. Hi, Charlie. Thank you. That's good to know. And I know you've had success with your trail surveys with the QR codes, so I think that we might be okay in that department. There we go. And then option 4, and I am happy to put in actual photos of you all giving the tours on the trail instead of these more generic versions of things I found on Google. But this is just to see if folks would actually prefer going on the trail with a tour guide. I've been very surprised in the past on projects to realize that a good portion of folks in a workshop, they might like the interpretive ideas, but they really gravitate towards guided tours. And if that is what we discover, then we would maybe encourage more programming. Oh, sorry. I think I see Oh, see you later, Becky from UConn. Thanks for joining.
Bye, thanks.
Alrighty. So that's a potential option as well. And then last option is something interactive. So I think I presented the idea of a miniature train. And then there's also this idea of something that folks can kind of either touch or walk on or play with that is like a replica of the train or the train station. So something they can actually kind of engage with their hands and really kind of experience in a tactile way. So if you happen to know of examples of this type of recreation, I'm happy to include those on this slide as well. But basically this option is just thinking kind of in a different direction of like an interactive exhibit almost that's outside that people could walk on or touch or play with. Maybe is more family friendly. So that is something to consider as well.
So Steph, this is Paul. When we had the UConn guys down there, I gave a walking tour with them. And one of the things that we would like to see is there's where the trains actually collided, there was an open switch on a tracks where it went from the main line to the local line. And we'd like to kind of see something maybe in there with maybe some bricks representing how the tracks kind of went, you know, veered off where the switch was, and basically had that in the trails as a, you know, the exact location of where the train actually ran off and had the collision.
Yeah, and Paul, I keep thinking that it might be nice to actually relay a little bit of the track in exactly the right spot, so that you could, I mean, you could relay some of the track. If you relayed the crossover and the switch, that would give everybody a really good idea of what used to be there. We've done a couple of years ago, we relayed some of the track up at the Windham County, Vermont Historical Museum, and we got a bunch of people from different railroad organizations and some donated rail and ties, and it was very successful. I think maybe we could think about doing something like that here.
Yeah. So Tom, the only concern that we had by doing that is people ride bicycles and stuff through that, and you want to make sure that it's safe to ride across where they don't accidentally, you know, come into some area where they have nice, you know, a dirt road, and all of a sudden they run into something that they may trip or fall.
Yeah, you'd have to route the bicycle path around it. Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Tom, you with your contacts and what you just suggested, what's the possibility we might be able to find a turntable and kind of recreate that turntable?
I don't know. Actually, they've recreated a narrow gauge turntable up at Wiscasset, Waterville, and Farmington. I think that most of the turntable bridges are. I don't think there are too many of those that are available. But we could look into it.
I think that, especially tying in with what Paul just said, we do have to consider that this is going to be a very popular bicycling area and pedestrians on foot. I would like to see a representation of what was at that site, and the uniqueness of a turntable could be particularly useful as a destination point magnet.
Yeah. the idea,
Tom, sorry. The people who built the turntable in Willimantic are still alive, and they know exactly how to build it. So I just wanted you to remember that part.
true. That turntable bridge moved, I think it moved into at least 3 different locations before they finally got it and put it in Willimantic. I mean, it was a valuable piece of surplus property. I think it originally came from Webster, but
You're right. You're right.
yeah, but I think it had made its way to the Cape and then back, I think. Yeah. Yeah. And actually well, we'll talk about this later. Paul, your idea of doing it in brick is a nice one. I think you could do that.
We could probably also almost do it with just gravel. Different color gravel.
Hmm.
Do you folks have any, if you do have any images of the features you're talking about, maybe the one in Willimantic or in Windham County, please send them along and I can include them in here so that we kind of have a visual reference for that.
Hmm.
I think those are great examples.
We have those photos. Do you want us to get them, Tom, or you want us to get them from the Eastern Connecticut Rail Museum? If you don't have them, I have them.
Yeah, we've got some of those.
All right, we'll get them over.
Yeah.
Thank you. Awesome. Nice to have local examples. Okay. Well, it sounds like there's some interest about this idea here. So we can present a few different options, which will be nice.
Mhm.
Okay, so we'll go through that concept and then I'm gonna ask everyone which is their favorite option. And I know that there's like few good options to choose from, but just having a sense if they had to pick what would be their most favorite way to learn about the train wreck and experience the train wreck, that'll give us an idea of what direction to move into for pursuing interpretation. So we'll have them all vote on their favorite option, and then we'll talk about it a little bit. And we'll open it up for questions. So I don't know if Joe, you'd be willing to answer questions, but at this point, I would just open it up to the whole workshop. Anyone that has any sort of question, and if they do have question about the train wreck or anything about what's there now, it'd be great to have you, Joe, kind of be able to answer those if you're willing.
I'll do my very best.
Thank you. And Lyanne too, if you're willing to stick around for questions, that would be great. And then the Park Service could answer about the designs, and Tira can answer about the project.
Sure.
Problem with, this is Lyanne, no problem.
Thank you. Much appreciated. We'll try and keep this kind of open and informal and answer as many questions as we can here. So after that, we'll talk about next steps. So what all their feedback will be used for, and that will go into our action plan and go to the student work. So the UConn students will then take those ideas and draft them up for us into hopefully a nice feasible park. And then the action plan and the drawings from UConn will be combined and hopefully be put into 6 very successful grant applications that will be able to give you all some funding to build the park. So that will be kind of the breakdown of the next steps.
And I'll just remind, just because I happen to have this conversation via email today with Connecticut Humanities, regardless of the larger grant, that I want to put all of this background work towards the NEA creative placemaking grant. I did confirm with Connecticut Humanities that they've got a couple of potential grant programs that could independently take care of some of those interpretive signs. And I think that that would be a very high probability of award. They are one-to-one match grants, but in-kind counts toward that. That's what we used to fund the 6 months of suffrage program.
Great. Exciting.
I have a comment about grants. I've been trying to track down the wherewithal, the vehicle for transportation alternative programs, the TAP grants, which are federal grants. I found out today, and I knew for a while that they are administered through councils of government, in our case, NECOG. And I got a response today that said that they've already submitted for through the 2025 funding. I don't know what, if anything, was factored in for the airline trail in Thompson, but I do know that those are the grants that paid for the work being done in Pomfret right now. And there's millions of dollars worth of bridges and underpasses and the like. They've got one more underpass and some culverts to finish, bringing it up to Putnam. And as far as I can determine, Thompson is the only link of rail trail yet to be factored in. So the TAP grants are something that we definitely have to be asking more questions about and finding out what monies are already earmarked for us. The other comment that I have, or question that I have, for anybody that did not see it, Elliott Webb has provided us with the most updated version of the train wreck video. And it does provide extra long time for people to read about the workshop at the end. And there's a link that takes the viewer to the Thompson Trails page. And I think we need to be sure that we have a link on there that will allow people to register for the workshop. So far, I don't believe that that has been done. And then I'll just step away now.
Thanks, Charlie. So the link for the workshop will come out in early November, just because we have to buy a special subscription of Zoom in order to run the workshop. So we have to do it in the same month.
Okay, well, we might want to put a note on our Trails webpage to say, check back in early November for the information, or where they can send an email to ask to be put on the list.
I think that's a good call. Great. So this is the last slide. Just a thank you. And then we were going to possibly award a prize for participation in the workshop. Just a little incentive and a thank you for everyone who participated. And we are currently accepting any ideas for prizes.
A t-shirt.
Great. So
Yeah, I
Yeah, we
second
could
that.
we could make it a matched pair, the green and the orange. That'd
Okay.
be more exciting than a single.
nice. An official Trainwreck t-shirt. Excellent. Do you have size options as well?
Yeah, there are small, medium, large, and extra large. The Trainwreck tends to run big. I haven't looked at the new orange ones. They probably run big too.
I haven't been in to conduct an inventory on those train wreck shirts, but we just recently replenished the orange ones. So I know we've got plenty of them.
That's why I'm saying they may also be running kind of oversized. So we need to look at that, because I know the green ones, people were saying they were taking a size smaller than they would normally.
That's good to know. Great, that is exciting that we can do that. All right. And then I will include actually a slide with all the presenters' contact information if folks would like to follow up for more information. Right. And that is the presentation.
Very good. Thank you.
Great.
Comments, questions, guys?
How much
It's not
time?
just show and tell, it's for you guys too.
How much time do you need for the historical part at the beginning? How much would you like? 5 minutes, 3 minutes? What do you need?
I'd say 2 to 3 minutes if that works for you.
Okay, you got 3 minutes coming.
Right. If it goes to 5, that shouldn't be the biggest deal, I don't think.
Not a problem. 3
But if
minutes.
it goes to 5, Joe, it had better be pretty interesting.
Not a problem. I got it.
All right. I think it's pretty straightforward.
So, quick question then. Are we going to be asking people to vote on what they think would be the best approach for signage, or, are we going to ask the participators at the workshop, or do you want us to give you our suggestions now or before then?
Seth, Charlie came in late. Why don't you go back to the polling on the interpretation stuff?
Now let's go back.
Not you. No, it's not separate.
So there is a whole section where we will go through the interpretation options. So I asked them if they want to do kind of the classic signage. Oops, sorry.
Yeah, I saw that part, and I really like the windows to the past one, but do you want us to make a decision, or do you want us to offer it out at the workshop?
Oh, so this is just to see what the public's favorite option is.
Okay.
And so if they say, like, for example, if we get a really high choice of interpretive signs, then we know maybe that's the option to pursue. And then as for what goes on the signs and the images, I'd imagine you all would work with a graphic designer down the road to design that. That gets a little bit more specific in the future.
Mhm.
When you do the polling, you want the people involved in this project to not vote, right?
I think ideally, yes. That way we get a better read.
Okay, I'm just putting that out there.
Thank you.
Maybe only if they were the majority of the participants.
Yes, I think that brings us to our next topic for today, which is promoting the workshop. And let's see. Maybe Elizabeth, can I turn it over to you for the contact list?
Yeah, do you want me to share my screen of the contact list? Does that make sense?
Sure.
Okay,
If you have it up.
give me one sec. See if I can.
So for whatever it's worth, I did send it out to what I had on the contact list thus far, plus whatever I had added for corrections that I saw. Whatever day that was, I want to say Monday, possibly yesterday. And I also included, we have a new press contact list from Sullivan and Lashane as a part of their marketing report to the branding subcommittee. So it probably went out to, I mean, what do you got on here? 50, but it wasn't really 50 captured emails. Let's say it's 30 of those, plus I would say another 30 to 40. So it probably went out to about 70 people, just the call to participate that we have already.
Excellent.
Okay, so there has been some communication on that front. That sounds great.
Yep.
So basically what we have here in that can work jointly with those efforts that Tira just mentioned is just a list of potential audiences and folks to engage. So in taking just like a general scan of the community and some of the different organizations you guys kind of have in the region, as well as any statewide groups that might be relevant to this workshop, and then just really any of that nature, I've started to compile a list of different folks to send out an invite to about our upcoming workshop. So I think, you know, that you guys can see as I scroll through here, there are several blanks, and ideally we could fill that in. So I think the way we would like to approach this is either if you guys could start, if you have any suggestions for how to fill in some of this, any groups I might have missed. Perhaps we can, I'm trying to think of the best way to share that so that staff, so that folks can, like for Thompson Public Schools, if someone clearly has a name and an email. Anyone have suggestions on that front?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, I'll fill some more in that I have. I don't know that the public schools, the admin for the public schools is one that I added yet, but some of the municipal ones I can go in and add.
Okay. Yeah. So basically the hope is that once we've got this filled out, we add any groups that we missed. Tira can send out that invite with all the like Zoom information for the workshop, as well as if we want to use the video as kind of our hook to get people excited. Along with that invite, we can do that as well. But just sort of wanting to build our database so that people know that we make sure we've covered our bases. So does anyone have anything on the top of their mind right now they want to suggest that we can follow up with?
There are a number of railroad organizations that I think could be included in this.
So yeah, right now I've got the Railroad Museum of New England on here, but no contact person. The Connecticut Eastern Railroad Museum.
Yeah.
A couple others.
There's the Mass Bay Railroad Enthusiasts, which is a group. They're based up in Boston, but they have had a talk about the train wreck, and I think you might find some interest up there. There's the Amherst Railway Society, which is in some ways even closer. There's also a Connecticut chapter of the Railway and Locomotive Historical Society, which there's a local New England chapter of the National Model Railroad Association. And I can probably find contacts for all of those. And you want me to send them to you?
Yeah, if you could send me, you named off so many. So if you could send me the name of the group, and then if you've got the name of a person or an email.
Yeah.
How about the other towns that are along the airline trail, like Pomfret or Willimantic, or any of them that have trails committees, or if they don't have a trails committee, then whoever would be their contact there.
Okay.
Charlie, they had the 12-town task force. I think that includes probably most of those.
Yeah, but I'm not sure how interactive sending out just to unless we specify each of the towns on the 12-town task force. If we just send it out to Janine Davis, it may not get to everybody else.
Okay. Yeah, I'll make a note here of towns along the trail. So we can-
I'm pretty sure that there is a contact list associated with that 12-town task force. I seem to recall that there is a spreadsheet kicking around somewhere.
okay, then maybe we can work to pin that down.
I think that was sent out after that last in-person meeting, the big one that that a lot of people on this call had attended. I'm pretty sure I saw such a thing.
Okay.
And folks, I think it's important to have kind of these technical advisors and interest groups, but really the folks we want to hear from are Thompson residents and folks that live in town that will be using the trail. And so I think that's where we're relying mostly on you all to spread the word and invite folks, especially people who use the trail, local families, people living adjacent to the trail. Those are just kind of residents that we're not going to probably reach by going through these organizations. So I don't know maybe what some of the best methods are for that. If there's a local newspaper or a reader board, or even if Facebook's the most effective way. Do you have any thoughts about that?
What about the shopper's guide?
Yeah, definitely.
It is shocking how effective an advertisement in the shopper's guide is to me. Every single time I'm shocked by it.
It's something everybody reads.
But technically, this committee has no budget. So, I mean, I can check and see what I have in my department budget. I mean, it's not that it's a huge
that
charge.
Trails Committee, we can't vote till December, but I think we will vote to reimburse if we place an ad.
Well, we have an
Okay.
EDC meeting in about an hour and a half, and I can ask at that as well. The EDC is fairly committed to this project.
Great.
One or
It
the
is,
other.
Charlie. The caveat on that, Charlie, is that when we did the budget for EDC this year, we got really specific with line items headed into
Yeah.
the budget season.
But
I
we
would
did
have to look at that to see what we have for discretionary as well.
Okay, I'll accept that, but remember, we did have a line item for train wreck related items, and I don't think I used all that up, so just so you know.
Well, no, that was last year's. Whatever was in last year's, we reallocated. So I don't think that that's there anymore, Charlie. But we'll go over it tonight at EDC. I just don't want you to be disappointed if it's not there.
Oh, I'm not disappointed.
Charlie, you can correct Karen if you want, but I think we voted at one point that I could authorize up to $200.
Yeah, I believe so too. And I'm the
So-
treasurer, so, okay.
Yeah, I think we can get it out of the trails.
Okay, that sounds perfect to me.
Great. One other.
I'm sorry, did we get this list and I missed it? Or are we going to get this list? Because I see items I can fill in, but I don't have a screenshot of that whole list.
I think it's linked in the Google folder, Karen, but I can send you a hard copy as well from the office.
Okay, well, I have some of the emails. Okay.
Yeah, we could, I could share the link to the spreadsheet that would allow everyone to add or fill in some blanks. Before, and then maybe shoot for kind of like a Monday deadline, this coming Monday, for getting those kind of finalized with any contacts you have. Is
All
that-
right, anything I can read, I'm not going to mess around in your Excel document because I always mess them up.
Okay, would you rather me just send a just like hard copy PDF or something, and then you can
That's fine. And I'll just go scroll through it and see and send you back in an email what data I have.
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
Hey, I just want to remind the members of this planning group that I am on vacation the week before this workshop. So anything that anybody wants or needs me to do has to happen this week or next week. because the first week of November I'm out. The only thing on Monday I have some work stuff to do, which includes signing up for the webinar feature in Zoom, which is why we have to wait till the 2nd of November. But I'm otherwise going to be inaccessible for work that week.
One other item I was thinking of, I'm not sure if anyone would be willing to volunteer, but printed flyers that could be posted at places that people still go, like the grocery store or coffee shops, or anyone basically willing to host our imagery. I don't know if that's something anyone would be interested in taking on.
Stephanie, you're suggesting that the flyer that came out in email could be printed up and circulated. Is that right?
That's right. Yes. That flyer doesn't have the Zoom link on it, so I will update that at the beginning of November. Or you could hang the flyer that we have now, just to get it on people's radar.
Well, I posted that on Facebook, and I don't have a color printer right now, but I'd be happy to take a supply and circulate them.
I don't know. Does the rec department have a color printer?
They do have one.
I mean, if we can
as
get
do
a,
I in my office also, but again, it's the same thing. If it's not ready until that week, then I'm no good to you.
no, but if we take what we have now and do a half a dozen color that can go around the town hall and the library.
Yeah, I can do it. I can do a handful of what we have now for sure.
Great. I think that would work well.
All right, so Tira, if you've got them printed, you can let one of us know and we'll distribute them.
Yeah,
Yes.
if nothing else, you could put some in the Trails Committee mailbox, and that way, if we can't touch base directly with each other, I'll be able to grab some, and I can put them up at the kiosks on the trail.
Yeah, as long as this occurs as a prompt in my email in meeting minutes, we're good. I
All right,
cannot be relied on to remember anything that is said, but I can be relied on to do anything that I read.
I'll send you an email to ask you to leave a half a dozen of them in the Trails Committee mailbox.
That would be lovely, Charlie.
Great. Yes, if we can get those up at the trailhead, that would be excellent. And I see Liane mentioned the radio talk show, WINY.
Yeah, good idea. Yeah.
Those radio spots are not exactly pay for play, but they are sort of pay for play. I'll have to see if there are any appropriate departments or organizations that have a contract open with them that we can glom onto. When I go on and do those Winnie interviews to promote stuff, it's because REC has paid out a certain amount of money, and they have a certain number of spots, or I'm glomming onto Thompson Business Association spots. So if REC's got anything left in their budget for Winnie, I think we can probably utilize that. Oh, the talk show, Liane. Okay, yeah, I'm thinking of the Gary O spots.
Great. One other suggestion, I don't know if any of you all belong to a local church or know a neighbor or someone who does. If there's a way to get it announced at service, I know they're all probably virtual or spaced out or however people are coping with that right now. But that is also a good way maybe to get things publicized. Something to consider. All righty, I think that should do us pretty good.
And yeah, like I noted, we're shooting for getting that finalized by Monday. So if you could rack your brains between now and then, that would be much appreciated.
Just to go back a minute, what about polling places?
Oh,
Can we post something at the voting on November 4th? 3rd?
Well, there's places where stuff like that can be posted at town hall. I don't know what the setups are like at the other polling stations.
Well, like on the one in Quinnebog is the fire department. I mean, that might be a place to put a flyer on the door.
yeah, if that's possible to sneak one on the door, I think that would be great. People are probably gonna have some time on their hands to stare at the wall.
How about also at the schools? We'd like to get a lot of input from the kids maybe on, their thoughts. I don't know how that would work.
I think we just need to send the flyer to the admin for the superintendent's office, Danielle, and she distributes stuff for the various town offices all the time. So she'd be the contact I would use for that.
It would be the contact for the Thompson Public Schools.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
So can we, instead of physically giving her flyers, can we send her the flyer that in the email and let her?
Oh yeah,
make
that's all I'm
Okay.
going to do with that email list is send
Okay.
PDFs.
Okay.
Tara, do you have a contact at Marianopolis?
Joe Perotti. I don't have
Okay.
an administrative contact, but he definitely is a faculty advisor to at least one of the graduating classes, and I'm sure he can push it up the chain anyway.
Okay.
Alrighty, if there aren't any more suggestions, I'll type up some notes from today and change up the presentation. And then we're gonna do a run through of the Zoom presentation on November. We had to change actually to the day of November 10th to accommodate when Tira's back. And then also Elizabeth has to go to Long Island on November 9th. So we're gonna do it probably the morning of the 10th. If anyone's welcome to join for the run through, the dress rehearsal. And I wanted to ask Tira if that works for you to do that morning.
Check. I happen to have my all-knowing daybook right here, probably. In fact, it seems to me that I already knew that, but maybe I didn't. I don't know what I know anymore. What are we talking about? The 10th, Tuesday the 10th? Yes, I have nothing else penciled into my book. So, oh, I still have it penciled in for the 9th. Okay, so we're moving it to the 10th at what time? Or have we not doodle polled that yet?
We haven't doodle polled that yet. I'm free that whole morning, so pretty flexible.
I also am.
Well, if somebody wants to doodle poll that, we can determine the best hour.
I can do that.
I will. Yeah.
I can send out a poll basically between like 9 and 2 and see who's available for like hour slots in there.
That works for me.
Great. And Lyanne and Joseph, just want to make sure you two are available for that as well, since you'll be presenting. So we will make sure that all works out.
Yeah, that should be fine for me.
Great.
Great.
Does that work for you, Joe?
It does.
Most excellent. Okay, well, I know folks have other meetings and things to get on to with life, so we will let you go. Thank you very much for your time this evening.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.